All right, it is April 28th at 6 p.m. I'm going to call to order the Woodford County Board of Education regular school board meeting here at the board office. Roll call, all members are in person and accounted for. And Mr. Atkins, I'm going to turn it over to you.
I'd like to, before we start our regular meeting, ask for a moment of silence for Mr. Jamie Tuttle. He passed away March 31st, 2025. He had 28 years in the district and was a lifetime resident of Woodford County. Such a great individual, humble, willing to help anybody. So if we could, let's take just a moment of silence for Mr. Tuttle. Thank you. There will be a memorial service at the Forks of the Elkhorn Baptist Church. That's where Mr. Tuttle attended church in Midway on May 1st, starting at 2 p.m. So if you would like to join or to attend that, then there will be several from the district there, I'm sure, because like I said, he was very beloved. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Atkins. All right, so we are going to ask the Northside students to come up and start us on our Pledge of Allegiance. And it is right back here behind us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any proposed amendments to the agenda?
I would like to pull a item out of the consent agenda, looking at travel requests.
Okay.
Second.
So that is C in the consent agenda. Do we have any discussion? Sure.
Sorry, just to clarify, Dr. Gould, was that a motion?
Yes.
And I made a second.
Oh. Thank you. Discussion? Yeah.
So I wasn't really prepared to discuss it now, but it's okay, I can. One of the things I noticed in the consent agenda was some of the travel requests for athletics, and I've had some recent conversations with constituents in the community about the budget of the athletics, like when you pay into the fundraisers, where that goes to, as well as how do we determine where it's coming from. Because I know that sometimes on those budget requests, I don't know if you all probably can't see it, but we can see it. It identifies where some of the funding sources are. And then we have an attached treasury report related to that. And I know there's boosters and Red Book, and there's lots of convoluted pieces to it. But I was just curious, when those things get accepted, and there's a pretty substantial amount to some of these budgets, how transparent is it becoming to not only the parents who are paying in a portion of that, but also to us who are approving those budgets, when it doesn't necessarily identify what pots of money that's actually coming out from? And I'm not talking like a $250 travel expense or maybe even a $5,000 travel expense, but some of the expenses are pretty lofty. And so I was just curious if that's a conversation that can maybe be had before we approve it, to have better clarification of if that's coming from boosters, from concession sales, parents paying a portion of it, or guardians, or if it's coming out of a different line item source to cover the remaining balance. Because I do know it's different for every situation, but when it's not transparent on there, it's hard for me, and I'm sure other board members, to discern, as well as parents, how that is outlined.
Okay. Any other discussion on?
Do we vote on it and then?
Well, we're going to vote to move it out of the consent
Okay.
agenda into the regular agenda, unless.
Just so we can have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
if Mr. Smith can identify this is where this money came from, I'm happy to just move forward and consent.
Yeah, and I will say, I mean, he may or may not have that information available right here, so that may be something that he has to get back to us. So we will still need to vote to approve the
Consent agenda.
fundraising
Okay.
request, or the travel request. Sorry.
Do you want me to address that right now? Or?
Sure. Yeah.
So Dr. Gould, in the past, I know our football team had gone to California last year, and Coach Johnson, they do have a really strong boosters, and super strong boosters. But I will say the majority of that trip, well, I think all that trip was paid for by donors.
Okay.
There were donations for that one. Now, also there are trips that are approved. I know there was a trip that was approved maybe last year for our corral to go to New York City, and they weren't able to raise the funds, so they just weren't able to go. So those are the types of things. They just have to get that approval done prior to. So that's one instance that I can think of in my mind, and I hope that helps.
That does help. I mean, I didn't know if if we provided the approval, if they went regardless because we've already approved it, and then it
No.
comes out of our funding if they're not able to meet those markers that they have. But also, I think the other side of this is being transparent with our parents and guardians
Sure.
about those treasury reports, because again, we can see them, but they do not necessarily see them. And I have children in athletics too. I get that. Pay in my portion, raise the money, and that sort of thing. And I know that it does go for important items, including travel and buses and uniforms and that sort of thing, for them to be able to have those capacities to go on those trips. But I think that transparency, especially when it comes to large ticket items, is very important. So that way our taxpayers as well as our constituents know exactly where that money's coming from, and all questions are transparent and answered. So that's why I bring that too.
I can say too, Dr. Gould, one of the questions that I've had that come up too from time to time, and what I've learned is that you have fundraising dollars that are raised via fundraisers, and then you've got donation requests. So my understanding, and Mr. Adkins, correct me if I'm wrong, is that if fundraising dollars are used, those dollars have to benefit the entire team. So it
Yes.
can't just be used, like if you're only taking a portion of your team, then fundraising dollars can't be used. It would have to be donation dollars.
Yes.
So that was something that I learned too.
And the boosters are separate than the individual clubs,
Mr.
because some
Smith
clubs
may
have
be able to touch
boosters
on
and some
that
don't.
a little better. He does the Red Book training, as I was trying to explain
Yes,
today.
yeah.
If you want to touch on, Mr. Smith, our boosters, and they're a completely separate entity, but they still have to answer to these Red Book guidelines. So he may want to touch on that real quickly.
And there's only so many fundraisers that could be had with
Yes.
Redbook.
Yeah, so just to touch on the fundraisers and the donations in general, so both of those are treated the same. So if we do a fundraiser, we're supposed to illustrate what the fundraiser is for, whether it's the uniforms, whether it's the travel, whether it's whatever. So when we do the fundraiser request, that should all be spelled out on the fundraiser request. And then as Mr. Atkins said, so the travel that's related to the teams is almost always completely fundraised for, or as he mentioned, the donations given to the district. I'm aware of almost no travel that we would ever have to get into that we would cover from the district level for any athletic teams. The only travel that we cover as a standard is the travel for, let's say, the football team to go from here to Anderson County on a bus.
Right.
That sort of travel. But all the other travel, all the other trips are covered through either the fundraisers that they do, the donations that they ask for, or the fees that they ask for. So hopefully that helps.
Yes, and the Gold Shield buses that were on the items, that's related to fundraising and that sort of thing as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify, because I do think that there is a lot of chatter in our community about that, and this is a really good platform to be able to have those conversations and be very transparent about it. Because again, when it's not outlined clearly, rumors can stir, right? So I appreciate you all entertaining that conversation. Thank you so much.
All right. So we have a motion and a second to move the travel request, which is 7C, to the regular agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Thank you.
Passes 4-1.
Thank you, board, as well, for listening.
So that is going to move after 8K. All right. So next we have, are there any other proposed amendments to the agenda? Okay. All right. So now we're going to go to superintendent's report. Mr. Atkins?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Rickler. I want to welcome everybody here tonight. I know we've got a great performance, looking forward to that. I had a chance to come up and, was it last Wednesday or Thursday maybe, and check you guys out. You were really, really good. Enjoyed that. One of the better ones I've seen, I have to say, so it was a great performance. I do want to let everyone know that we're preparing for our upcoming assessment windows. That'll be within starting within the next 2.5 weeks. It's a big piece of what we do every year. I've always said I don't like to hang our kids, a number beside our kids, but it is what it is when it comes to high stakes assessment, and that's, the federal government kind of holds us to that, and so does the state. I will say we're probably going to see some changes. Well, I know the new commissioner is working on changes as to what that could look like, possibly within a local accountability model. We're also across the district. We've had several defenses of learning already, and several more coming up. So that's always great to get a chance to go out and see our kids defend their learning with a culminating project or with a culminating activity. It's always really good to go see that. We have several award ceremonies coming up as it's that time of year. It's graduation and promotion ceremonies. So we're excited for all that, particularly for our students. As I said, I was able to go see Frozen Junior at Northside, and it was great. So we're excited to see what you guys give us tonight. So that's always a really good performance. The prom Saturday night was a big hit. I was just talking to Mr. Sayer here, and he said he had a blast. And a lot of the kids that I've talked to, they've all had a blast. It was a really good time, and good to be able to share that with our kids. And again, just another end of the year ritual that's always great. I will say that we have our kindergarten kickoff May 1st from 5 to 6 p.m. at all elementary schools. So you can check that out at the school you plan on going to or having your child go to or attending either way. But from 5 to 6 on May 1st. An update on facilities. I was asked to give a little update from the severe weather we've had. It seems like starting in October maybe, we've had heavy winds. We've had, who would have ever thought we'd have such an impact from a hurricane in Kentucky and North Carolina and Tennessee. Just unbelievable, the impact that storm carried with it all the way through here. But then, we've had bad weather. These are the most NTI days we've ever used combined since I've been here. We've used 7 this year, and that's more than we'd used in our days combined, in our years combined prior to that. Also, we've had this really a minor flooding event and then a major flooding event here recently. I think in speaking with Drew Chandler and Judge Kay, nearly 250, if not more than 250 homes damaged down by the river. Just a very sad event. But I am glad to say I checked with Sherman today, and throughout that process, we're constantly checking those because if you'll recall, we had some issues. We thought there may be some issues with our city municipalities. Thank goodness that was not the case, but our facilities came through that unscathed outside of just some normal leaks that we typically have. And this facility here, we've always known it needs some roof work. We haven't done any of that, but so obviously we do still have some of those typical leaks that we've always had. But I am glad to say that our buildings were pretty much unscathed with that. So we were very fortunate because there are a lot of, I know Frankfort Independent wasn't that lucky. I don't think Paris Independent was that lucky. Some folks around us had some damage, and our hearts go out to those folks because it's never easy trying to get back into school. But anyway, with that, again, like I said, thank you for coming, and I hope you get to enjoy the performance. And then it's good to have you here. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we're going to kick off our good news report. Mr. Sayer, how about down? You kick us off.
I don't know if you guys heard, but prom was Saturday. It was very, very fun. I'd like to shout out junior class president Charlie Gatewood, because it is not easy planning prom, and he did an excellent job, as well as our entire school, it felt like, on Friday came to the gym and helped set up, and it was extremely special to just have everybody there listening to music, having a good time, and it was a big success. Like Superintendent Atkins said, it was a great time. So shout out to Charlie Gatewood, because he did a great job doing that.
Ms. McCowan?
I don't have a whole lot, just that I know it's the end of the year and there are lots of activities and lots of fun trips that our students have been able to go on, and I just want to wish everybody, all of our staff, all of our students, the best of luck as we finish up the year. Good luck on your testing, have fun with all your friends, and I hope everybody enjoys these last few weeks. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, this is a minor thing, but it's big to me. When I give my report, I like to give it on things that I have witnessed myself and seen. Sometimes I'll come out to the track here and run and walk in the evening, And last week when I was there were several students from the high school and the middle school, and they were just delightful. The way they encouraged each other and tried to lift each other up, it was, I mean, anytime I see our students in action, it makes me proud, and I just wanted to mention that.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Gould?
Kind of to piggyback on that, I was able to attend the Greenhouse and CTE open house and showcase, and oh my goodness, are they not doing wonderful things. We have outfitted some of our garden with the plants that we bought and planted new flowers, and just seeing those students really just being able to display their talents and being able to have conversations with them about all the things that they're doing in their clubs and their organizations, it was really great to be out there. Kind of to piggyback as well, I know we're in May-cember almost, so parents know what that means, all the different activities that we've got going on at our schools, the different PBIS rewards. It's going to be a great time, and I wish all those teachers and the volunteers that are coming out great luck with all those endeavors and successes. Also, best of luck as students wrap up testing and finish those things. I just want to encourage every student that every person's goals and milestones are different, right? It doesn't mean that you're going to score a certain spot on your iReady scores or your KSA. Your worth and value and growth is measured by so many different ways. And so I just want you all to remember that you are much more than a test score, kind of like what Mr. Atkins was saying. That's always important, I think, to keep in mind because we achieve in many different ways. As a lot of our athletic teams roll into districts, I want to say big good luck and congratulations on the seasons that they've had. I want to give a special shout out to the soccer team at the middle school as they start district play next week. The boys in particular almost had a perfect season, so I'm super proud of them for that. So you guys are just doing great things as students, and parents hang in there. All of our staff and teachers, you guys were almost done. So congratulations on a great school year.
Thank you. And for me, I know that there was a couple schools, Simmons and Huntertown, both had their 5th grade Washington, D.C. field trips last week, and they had a great time, a lot of great learning experiences, a lot of walking, a lot of tours. And so just shout out to all the parents and the staff and the students that got to take part in that. Also, I got to see the Frozen play on Friday night. They did an amazing job. They have so much fun out there. And they have, I think, 57 cast members were part of that. So, Ms. Casimir, bless you. That's and everybody that helped you out, that is a big undertaking, and it was phenomenal. So thank you for putting that on, everybody. Superintendent's banquet was a lot of fun yesterday. We got to hand out the certificates, Dr. Gould and I, and it was a really fun time just to see all the students and see them walk across the stage, kind of like a mini graduation ceremony to get those, and it was a lot of fun. So, yeah. All right. Now, I know we've been waiting for this. Let's kick it off with the North Side student performance. What? Oh, sorry, Sherry. Sorry, Sherry.
We are ready for the performance. It's good.
My bad. I was.
All the good news
has been shared.
Nope. Sorry.
Well, I am Robin Taylor, and I'm proud to say that I'm the principal at Northside Elementary. So tonight we are going to share with you a couple songs from Frozen Junior, which are going to be a treat. Miss Casimir has done an amazing job. And then after that, for our school kind of spotlight showcase, no better than some of our students. They're actually going to share those great things going on at Northside with you. So thought you would enjoy them talking instead of me. So, all right, Frozen.
Just first of all, thank you all for inviting us out. We always enjoy coming to perform it. Typically, it's before the show and at the school. So this is a little bit different. We couldn't bring quite as many students and props and things, and we would have brought Sven, but Sven's costume was a little cumbersome, as it was a large puppet. So we did not bring Sven with us today. But we do have Olaf and Elsa who are going to share songs with you. We packed everything up after our show on Saturday, so we brought a couple things, some favorites with us to share with you guys tonight. So I'm going to let, are you going first? Okay. So Caroline Tracy played Elsa, and then Olive Devers was our Olaf. They're going to share, and then some of our other kids that were in the show are going to join in on some of the background stuff. All right.
Snow glows white on the mountain tonight, not a footprint to be seen. A kingdom of isolation, and it looks like I'm the queen. The wind is howling like this swirling storm inside. Couldn't keep it in, heaven knows I've tried. Don't let them in, don't let them see. Be the good girl you always have to be. Conceal, don't feel, don't let them know. Well, now they know. Let it go, let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. Let it go, let it go. Turn away and slam the door. I don't care what they're going to say. Let the storm rage on. The cold never bothered me anyway. It's funny how some distance makes everything seem small, and the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. It's time to see what I can do to test the limits and break through. No right, no wrong, no rules for me. I'm free. Let it go, let it go, and I'll rise like the break of dawn. Let it go, let it go. The perfect girl is gone. Here I stand, and here I'll stay. Let the storm rage on. My power flurries through the air into the ground. My soul is spiraling in frozen fractals all around. And one crawl crystallizes like an icy blast. I'm never going back. The past is in the past. Let it go, and I'll rise like the break of dawn. Let it go, let it go. The perfect girl is gone. Here I stand, and here I'll stay. Let the storm rage on. The cold never bothered me anyway. Nope. But sometimes I like to close my eyes and imagine what it'd be like when summer really does come. Bees will buzz, kids will blow dandelion fuzz, and I'll be doing whatever snow does in summer. A drink in my hand, my snow up against the burning sand, probably getting girlishly tanned in summer. I'll finally see a summer breeze blow away a winter storm and find out what happens to solid water when it gets warm. And I can't wait to see what my buddies all think of me. Just imagine how much cooler I'll be in summer. The hot and the cold are both so intense. Put them together, it just makes sense. Winter's a good time to stay in the cuddle, but put me in summer and I'll be a happy snowman. When life gets rough, I like to hold on to my dream of relaxing in the summer sun, just letting off steam. Oh, the sky will be blue, and you guys will be there too. When I finally do what frozen things do in summer. In summer.
I'm not going to sing. You do not want me to do that.
You're up next, right? Yeah, that's a nice
Not my
walk-in.
talent. Absolutely not. So I'm going to have there's all my students come up. So they're just going to highlight a few great things that we have done at Northside this year. And so they are going to tell you about those. All right, you can all come up. So this team, I will tell you, are the Golden Horseshoes, their student leadership team. They will tell you about themselves. They're going to talk about our Saddle Up Days, and they're also going to talk about Mix Up Mondays.
The Golden Horseshoe is a group of students made up of 4th and 5th graders. What the Golden Horseshoe team does is they help the school make improvements, seek and look at student feedback and survey data, provide a student perspective to the administration about how students feel about and see the school, share opportunities to improve the school, and develop ideas to continually make Northside the best school it can be.
Every 4 days of the school year, we have days called Saddle Up Days. And these are special days where learning looks different, and we focus on being a portrait of a learner. And also, each grade level learns about a different thing about Midway. This year, Kentucky is learning about trains. First grade is learning about the public library and goods and services. Second grade is learning about geography and the agriculture of Midway. Third grade is learning about the history of Midway. Fourth grade is learning about the national sciences of Midway. And fifth grade is learning about the government in Midway. On Saddle Up Days, we like to involve the community. We do that by learning about our community, going out into the community or bringing the community to us. We develop or create ways to contribute to the community. We also meet community members and have discussions with them. On Saddle Up Days, we also learn differently. We learn differently and try new things. We like to do hands-on learning. We communicate about and showcase learning. And we do community service projects.
Okay, so for Saddle Up, first grade is doing a canned food drive. They learned about the food pantry and led a canned food drive. They counted and organized all cans and delivered to the food pantry.
For third grade for Saddle Up Day is learning about new shop designs. So they're learning about businesses and needs in Midway and are trying to create a new business that doesn't exist in Midway.
Fourth grade community cleanup project. We send letters to the city council. We partner with the Green Source. We learn about our environment and plan our community cleanup project.
For the 5th grade project, we're learning about exploration of government. In this, we got to meet community members such as Lyles Taylor, the magistrate, the chief of police, and James Kay, the executive judge. We got to learn about what they did and how they helped the community. We also did a creation of a colony and ways to improve Midway, and that helped us learn about exploration of government.
Mix Up Mondays. So we do Mix Up Mondays every Monday. Mix Up Mondays are a different schedule that we do each Monday. We get longer blocks for social emotional learning, science, social studies, and writing. And we also get to do team building at the end of the day.
With what she said, Mix Up Mondays include team building, SEL activities, games for learning, science experiments, outdoor activities, and a different schedule. And this also helps with being more active.
So as you can see, we've had a lot of really cool things going on this year in Northside, and just looking forward to next year with the help of this group behind me. They looked at student survey data, we talked to teachers, I got their input, and so looking forward to next year. We're gonna kind of tweak our Saddle Up days. We're gonna call it Saddle Up for Service. One of the big things that we heard from students are the community service projects is what they really wanted to focus on. So instead of those themes that you heard about tonight, each grade level will have a community service project. That will be their focus for their 4 Saddle Up days. We will also add in a structured kind of whole school assembly to focus on the portrait of a learner on each of those days, and then the grade levels can share with one another about their projects so they can hear from each other. This year with their exhibitions, not all the different grade level of students got to go to the different grade levels, so we're gonna tie that in. And then also moving forward with just our partnerships, you heard about Green Source. Midway University taught an assessment class with us this year. And so what they did is they taught it and then they tutored our students based on that assessment data that they gave. So it was real life practice with our students. They've also come in and helped with PE class for those students, which has been a great partnership. And then next year, the education department is actually gonna teach a methods course in our building. So those students will learn about different methods and they will go out to classrooms and see those right in action as soon as they learn them. So some great things coming up. Thank you very much.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Yeah, Ms. McCowan?
I just would like to thank all of you for coming here and speaking to us, especially the students. I know sometimes it's not easy to get up and speak in front of a group of adults that you don't know, but you all did an amazing job, and I miss Midway. My kids both went there, so it's a very, very special place, and I hope you all have a great rest of the school year and enjoy your summers. Thank you all.
I just wanted to thank each of you for coming today. I can tell that the community means a lot to you all, and I can promise you, you all mean a lot to the community too. So thank you very much for coming this evening.
And for those of you that sang tonight, just remember, when you make it big, we gave you a showcase here at the school board, so thank you. Very talented, and thank you everything you're doing at Northside.
I was ready to get up and dance and sing along, but I didn't want to embarrass anyone with my dancing. But you guys did a phenomenal job, and I really do appreciate all the community partnerships that you all talked about and the amazing ways that you guys are learning and just, encompassing that portrait of a learner. You guys are doing great things, it sounds like, and congratulations to all of you as you get promoted to the next grade. Almost done.
I just want to say ditto to everything. I'm so proud of all of you all. It's just really hard to come into a group of adults and sing and dance and speak, and you guys were amazing. Thank you, your parents and your teachers and whoever is at home tonight, because they did an amazing job. You guys, very wonderful. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Yep. Yeah, if you guys want to head out. As they exit, we'll go ahead and move on to our new high school project update. Mr. Ratliff, there you are.
asked Josh to put me a song on, but I don't think I gave him enough time. Yeah, I should have a walk-up song by now, I think. The high school, if you've been by, you've noticed pretty much all the seed and straw and the sod has been placed, so that's a big relief. We finally got a window that it could be completed, and everybody capitalized on it. You know, hopefully we'll get, I know we got some rain coming, so hopefully that'll help us achieve some substantial growth. And you know, it's, anybody that's ever dealt with their yard knows how it can be, but it's the ideal time to get it seeded and covered, and there's warranty on everything, including the grass. So no doubt after this coming fall, there will be some areas that didn't grow or achieve the growth they needed, and they'll have to come back and address those. But the big thing is everything's covered, and we got some rain coming, so that's a nice positive change to see. As far as the financials go, construction cost to date, that has changed, the $61,087,950.74. That includes the change order that's forthcoming. Billed through March is $59,491,654.90. That's 97% complete. The 3% mainly is for waiting to release on the site to make sure it's completed before they're paid out. There are pretty much, the punch list is 100%, but there's a few minute items, mostly all casework related, and a few door hardware items. Most of the casework items have finally arrived on site. Some of them were ordered and reordered and back ordered. Numerous pieces, so numerous stories, but most of those are on site. I think the only item that is big item, I would say, that's not, is the Allied Health Sinks. That was the late PR that came at the end of the job. They're saying Stevens, who's the manufacturer, should be complete with those on May 19th, so they will plan to have them installed right after. All the other miscellaneous items have either arrived or will be arriving in the next couple of weeks and be completed. And that's pretty much it for the high school. Contingency log. This does include the change order that's forthcoming. It's a deduct, so it's money back in your pocket. That puts it at total used $845,181.36, which is 28%. Remaining contingency $2,171,509.15.
See?
Yep.
I don't know if now is a good time to ask. I just know, Mr. Smith, you said a few months ago we were talking kind of about the contingency, and I just wondered if you had an idea about what that number, you know, I know there, maybe you said you had some in your mind, you knew there would be some deductions. So the last slide said it was around 2.1 million, I think. Let's see.
So, and that's for phase one. I do have here would be basically the two contingencies combined, and again, that is just construction contingency that I'm able to track.
So 2.1 million is what's left in the contingency?
Roughly, for construction contingency.
Okay, and so the original contingency for both projects was around 3 million? Is that?
You have 684,000, and you have 3 million. So what was it? 600. So roughly 3.7.
Okay, so 3.7 was the original total contingency for both projects. And right now we have a remaining balance for both projects of around 2 million?
2 million, a little over 2 million.
Okay.
And that's on the construction side. That's not the total number that it's going to be.
Yes.
Right?
That's correct. I looked at it this morning. Again, with the credits that Mr. Ratliff is discussing, 25,000 and some change, right at $1 million left with by the time we had to purchase all the owner-provided equipment, that's, he doesn't account for in his numbers for the construction. We had to buy a significant amount of equipment over and above that. So, but we're down to about $1 million left right now.
Okay, so, okay, just in our mind, we need to be thinking there's about $1 million left in the contingency, and that includes covering the negative balance for the second project?
That's correct.
Okay.
Looking at both of those projects together, Mr. Rao is probably going to discuss, we're getting really close to the end of both Phase 1 and Phase 2 projects. We got to revise the BG1s and make all the numbers match the actual construction costs. And so I just look at both of those projects together because we transferred some money back to the beginning of Phase 2 to be able to cover the track and the athletics. But we've had a little bit of commingling with them since then. And so, again, I just look at both projects together, and we have about $1 million left out of both of them. So.
Thank you.
Hit a button. Josh is trying to take control here. For the track and field, total construction cost to date remains the same, $5,432,552.36. Billed amount through March is $4,466,995.47. That's 82% complete. As of today, Toad Vine has told me they need 5 weeks to complete the grandstands. So like I said last time, whenever they complete, our contractors need a week and a half after that to finalize all the electrical and the connections. So assuming Toad Vine, and I don't know, I'll show you, I've got pictures, but it's a substantial amount of work going in and out of there for those grandstands. So, of course, there's an area that won't be dressed up. There's an area that won't be finished until they're complete. So, the week and a half after, whenever that is, will basically be what we have to consider substantial completion. So he felt pretty confident in that. That's weather dependent like all construction, but he did believe that they would be out of there in 5 weeks. So for now, I tentatively put 6/12/2025. That would give a week and a half past their date with the final completion of July 11th.
Is there going to be something at the top of that grandstand?
A
Like
press
a
box.
press box.
Yeah.
When I drive by, I was just curious. It looks
Yeah.
like it. So
Yeah. It'll come in as like basically a unit, and they'll use a crane and set it up there. The only thing that's changed on the contingency log is where the overall contingency that brings in that $25,000 credit that's up next on the agenda into that $2,152,000 number. In the past 30 days, they've completed the metal trim and soffit, the rubber surface, the plumbing fixtures are installed, painting is complete, and the Musco lighting pole bases are complete. In the 30-day look ahead, complete the concession and restrooms. Really all they like there is like exterior mounted cameras. They need to get their downspouts in for their gutters. A few miscellaneous items, all little stuff, but it's the little stuff that seems to carry on at the end. I had a long conversation with Olympic today on those miscellaneous items that keep dragging out, and I feel confident that next week they'll get in there and knock them out. So, and then a lot of the site concrete, there's a certain point in the next week or two where pouring that sidewalk through there will not hinder Toad Vine. So as soon as we get to that point and they can finish the sidewalk through there, they will. They're just trying not one contractor getting ahead and then hurting another. Nobody wins, so we're just holding off till they've got the majority of their work done. And then topsoil spreading has been ongoing as people finish up, and we don't want to put good topsoil where people are going to be running in and out. So hopefully next week, there's some rain coming this week. I think we've got a dry week next week, so a lot of that seeding will be completed next week.
Can I ask one more question about the grandstand?
Yep.
Does that cost include all the PA equipment and speakers and that sort of thing as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You can see in this photo, all the light fixtures have been installed, plumbing fixtures. I know just a picture of a tool, it's not great, but hey, it's a plumbing fixture, so there you go.
It's important
That's
to
the best
have,
that
so,
tool ever
yeah.
looked. So, all the sinks are installed. They do have mirrors to install and some tooled accessories. You can see the metal soffit. The trim is done, the exterior lighting. There's a photo of the grandstands going up. This is on the right-hand side, that's the sidewalk I'm talking about. They'll pour all the way through there, so they've been working from underneath a lot, but as soon as that's complete, they'll pour that sidewalk all the way down through there.
We had some concerns about storage on site. The grandstand completion, we weren't sure if we were going to be able to do that or not until we saw what the contingency was. But that will be fenced and will be used for storage under there for track equipment, any other type of equipment that they use there around the field. So very excited about that possibility too of having the storage built in.
Yeah, it'll all have a really good stone base. You'll have like a 9.5-foot sidewalk, which can, a golf cart or a utility vehicle can drive on, and it has drainage, so water will not set under it. It'll go through the stone into the drainage and out the storm, so it's a great place for storage.
And there's sidewalk connection from that parking lot, the student parking lot up to this facility, right?
Yes.
That-
Yep.
It looks like there is, but I just want to double check. I haven't gone to the parking lot and tried to traverse it, but I was just thinking of ADA accommodations and that sort of thing.
Yep. That's all on the update, and if you all have any questions.
I do have one question,
Okay.
and this might be more for Mr. Adkins, but I'd had a couple of folks from the high school reach out and say that there is some kind of an odor on the second floor, that's where it comes from a lot. Has that been looked into, or do we know if it's a sewer or
Yeah,
what?
so today I was over here, I met with CMTA, the mechanical contractor. Luckily, I hate to say this, but I'm 95% sure we figured out the issue. It's very simple. There's a vent, a sanitary vent, coming out of the roof, and I think code, it's 5 or 6 feet it has to be from a vent. It is that distant, but the louver to your all's makeup air is huge. So what we believe is happening is that depending on the wind direction and how it's moving across the roof, it's blowing the sanitary vent, the air coming out of there, into the makeup air, which is distributing it into the school. So we're going to put like a 10 to 12 foot extension on that vent away from it. We're pretty sure that's going to fix it. If it's not that, it'd be extremely coincidental, but as long as that fixes it, then we'll turn that into a permanent solution and should go away.
Okay. When did you think that might be?
The mechanical, I don't know if he said, but I believe he thinks he'll be able to drop off the material tomorrow, and our guy will just put it on. It won't take 30 minutes to put it on. So he said as soon as he could get that 4-inch pipe here, which I feel confident will be this week for sure.
Thank you.
Yep. It's been a tricky one. It's because it's came in waves, and we thought it went away, and then we had complaints again. So luckily, it could be very simple fix. So.
Really quickly before we move on, I don't know if I'll get the opportunity to say this again. Just from the student body, thank you to you and Trace Creek. It's a pretty cool school. So
We played a small part in it.
we
There's
really
a lot of
appreciate
people that made this happen, but we're glad to be a part of it,
you're
and I
here every
appreciate
month
it.
giving these rundowns, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to check, is there some mechanism for teachers or staff or even students who have concerns like the odor or just different things to be able to communicate those in some way?
Yes. So I'm not sure who started the spreadsheet. I think Mr. Reed did. And so there's a spreadsheet. It's like a Google Doc. And so I believe all staff has access to it, all teachers. And so if there's an issue, they post it on there. They tell the room number, the date, what they're dealing with, and we can all see it. And so as we see it, we point get it to the right person. So if it's that smell, it's the mechanical contractor. If it's something electrical, it's electrical contractor. But it's basically like a very large ongoing punch list where 100 people, and some of them become owner items, so I label them owner item. They're out of our court. Some of them turn into like wants or needs versus an actual construction issue. But yes, that's an ongoing list. Yep.
Anybody else? All right, so moving on, can I have a motion to approve new high school project change order? All right, motion by Mr. Wilson.
And what that change order is so you
Let me
have
grab a
direct.
Let me grab.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I will second that.
All right, second by Dr. Gould, and then we'll open it up for discussion. So, Mr. Ratliff.
So that is, you have direct purchase orders with, I don't remember how many vendors, but there's a lot of them. It's tax savings. So with KDE, their requirement is any material that's unused, so they don't bill for it. So if they turned in a $10,000 direct purchase order and they only bought $9,000 worth of material, that money comes back to you. So the total of money back to you is $25,954.09. That's actually probably the most I've seen. Usually people undershoot it, so they don't have that, but few people miss the mark, so it's good for you.
Any other discussions or question on getting some money back? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up we have our school safety update.
Good evening. Here tonight for our quarterly safety update. We've had a relationship with them for a long time with school resource officers. But some things that, again, people may or may not see, they support us with traffic. I mean, you may have seen them in the morning doing traffic at elementary schools, which is always appreciated. Athletic supervision, you'll see them at ball games. Exterior door access. So they now have access, and have had for a year or two now, access to our doors. So if there's an emergency, an event, they can get in our buildings quickly through codes that they have to be able to do that. They have remote access to our security camera system. So we did this a few years ago. So in their department, they have screens on the wall with live feeds of our schools, what's going on in the hallways. And so should there ever be an event that they would need to respond to, they have real-time access to our buildings, the layout, the hallways, and they can communicate where someone might need to go. School walkthroughs, they do those every year just as part of our typical emergency planning, but not just the typical things. I think back to the unfortunate events at Marshall. He's always available. Other officers I can connect with too, so they are always available to help us navigate some legal issues that we might run into, should we need them. Use of our schools for mock events. They've used several of our buildings to practice their response to different types of things. I know they've used the high school before, they've used Southside. Some of those events they've invited us in to also participate in. So that's another great thing that shows our partnership with the police department. And lastly, Handle with Care. We have students who have, if you're not familiar with Handle with Care, things that happen in the evening that could impact them during the school day. So an officer can come to us without getting into the detail of what happened. They can say, hey, this student XYZ, handle with care. And that signals us to know, something happened with this student last night that we just need to be aware of. So those are some of the things that we work with our police department on. So I'll just open it up. I do have another topic tonight I want to talk about, but before I switch gears, I want to see if there's any questions about our partnership.
I did wonder, I'm still not really clear on why we're losing the resource officers in the buildings, but will the Versailles Police Department continue to do all of the things below that? Will those still be things? Because I don't know if some of that happens just because we have the officers actually on site in the buildings. Will we still have the other supports?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I have two things. One, and I see some of our middle school folks in the audience here, and I have a middle schooler. And I am very aware, because my son came home very up in arms about the fact that they're losing their school resource officer. So I took a minute to show him the last board meeting. That's what he gets for being a board member's son. But I showed him the last board meeting where we had that conversation. And I would really love, and I mentioned to Mr. Atkins, so he's aware, I know as well, and I know that this has been addressed, but I just wanted to bring it back up again, that really that transparency about why the school resource officer contract is ending. I think it would be really important because these individuals have been in our schools for a long time. They represent safety not only for our students but also for our teachers and staff there. And I think it is a little bit confusing why, because we know our students are not necessarily listening to the board meetings, but just having that community transparency about why this is occurring. And again, I know that we've had conversations about it, but I think that that's really vital for our community members to understand what's going on there. So that's one that I hope you could speak to. And then I would like to also address traffic safety as well. So if you want me to go into that now, or do you want me to give me a pause so you can maybe share some thoughts?
Whichever you prefer.
Okay, you go ahead.
Okay, sure. So again, I know, this is what I know. I know that, and I was not at the initial meeting, but and I don't want to speak for the police department, but I believe they reached out to us to start to have this conversation about potentially moving in a different direction. I know that conversation also included the cost, and I think I talked about this a little last week. Like, we've been getting, just a super sweet deal for, on our side, I think it's about $75,000 a year for the services of 2 school resource officers, which is less than what it would cost us to employ them. I think we're looking at a significant increase in that if we wanted to continue, probably close to double what we could do ourselves with the same. We've got great officers at middle school and high school. Please hear me on that. I think they're great. I don't want to lose them, but just looking at just some of the realities, like we could do the same thing for approximately half the cost with just as experienced, just as quality of an officer as we've done at our other schools. And so, if this was 5-10 years ago, I don't know that I would be even having this discussion, but we've had officers now for I think 8 years, 7 years, and so like we know what we're doing at this point. We've known what we've been doing all along, but like we've employed officers for 7 years now. We understand the training, and so just feel like we're in a good spot if the board were to choose to go that direction, that we could absolutely take over those responsibilities without skipping a beat.
And I know we're going to have a conversation about that position here in just a minute, so I'll pause some of that for that. But I appreciate you speaking to that again. I do know it's a concern. I hear it, and as a parent who has children at the middle school and soon to be high school, I understand that our school resource officers have done a tremendous job, and they do represent a lot for our kids, and they have those relationships that they have built with our community members. And I think that that's the other part of it too, where they are connected to Versailles Police. They have that long-standing relationship with a lot of kids in those buildings, and I think that that's going to be something that's going to be hard to replace, especially initially. Hopefully we could get there if that's the direction that we choose to go. But I also would really encourage that, and again, I don't want to get too far ahead because I know we're going to talk about this, but that our administration and teachers and staff have a role in some of that hiring process as well, because they know their building better than we do, obviously. But as we build in that policy, looking at that, or not the policy, but the position. Thank you. The other thing that I have major concerns with is the traffic patterns at the middle school and high school. I know that there has been, I've brought this up before, I know that there has been a lot of really good work done to try to ease those traffic patterns, but I really, as you mentioned, the connection and relationship that we have with Versailles PD, I think it's really important. And I have been an advocate in the past for getting traffic direction at Huntertown School, and I was very pleasantly pleased with the conversation that I did have with Chief to be able to, the chief at the time, to help get that happening. And it does increase our safety in those areas in particular. But over at the middle school and high school, and I don't know how many people have been through that process. I know that I have, and I have recorded it if anybody wants to see that. But I know that our bus drivers do an amazing job trying to traverse traffic in that area, but it's an accident waiting to happen. As buses are swinging around cars that are trying to turn into the middle school, and then other people not abiding by the stop sign. I've got video, and I won't incriminate anybody tonight, but I've seen cars, run that and, just kind of go through because they know it's backed up over here, but then all of a sudden things start moving and people are coming around to try to go straight into that high school. We have got to have somebody there, and I don't know who that needs to be to advocate. I don't care to reach out to Chief Young myself if I'm not sure that's my role, but it really is a concern, especially, and I know coming out on McCowan's Ferry as well, or High Street, as well as Falling Springs is also a backup. But that stop sign in particular, I'm just waiting for it to happen. And so I do think that we need to advocate for whatever channel we need to go through to have it, and it doesn't take very long. It's like a 20-30 minutes span of time. Just to have someone direct traffic there, I think would really ease that flow and keep our kids safe, and our parents and guardians and family members and high schoolers or whoever else is coming through that area. It also gets congested quite a bit in the mornings as well, but especially in the afternoon, it feels like it's just more. Yeah. So that's my spiel. If you could speak to that, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. If you don't mind, I'll go back to what you ended your last comment on about including the middle school. So I was out there today and was talking to some folks, and just want to assure you that if we go in this direction, my goal is to make sure that we get an officer that fits at the middle school, that everyone's comfortable with. And so we'll absolutely include representatives from the groups that we need to, parents, teachers, administration. So just want to make sure that that's very clear, that would be the plan.
Well, even students, I know that and I have to say kudos to the administration over there. They're incorporating some students and teacher hiring processes and that sort of thing too. And I think it would be great to have a student voice on that team as well. But that's just a suggestion, of course.
I know in that conversation with the chief and mayor, they have ideas for those officers, and that may be that's one of the reasons for looking in another direction. That would probably free up some other folks to be able to do these other services that we're talking about if we have our own folks there. So maybe just a different vision, but again, still the same partnership, still the same commitment to the school system.
And to the traffic question, kind of what Mr. Atkins was saying, like those are ongoing conversations that are happening constantly. And so I don't know that I feel comfortable tonight to say, yeah, this is the plan, this is what we're doing. But again, I just want to assure you that those conversations are happening.
And I appreciate that very much. I just know that the high school has been open since the beginning of the year, and and I think everybody's doing as much as they can. I just think that having a person there present would just be an incredible, it will, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. We don't want to have a bus wreck and buses have collided with cars and that. And I know that the middle school is shifting and trying to do what they need to do to fix that. But I do think that four-way stop is an ongoing issue. And again, I'd be happy to share the videos with you that I've taken. And I know the mayor has ridden through, and I know that people are aware of it. It just seems that time continues to pass, and here we are at the end of the school year, and it's still, not happening. So if we could even get a plan for start date of August, that would be great too. I would love to have it for the end of May, but I understand things sometimes work slower than what I would like to have them happen. But just to continue to be on that would be fantastic.
Absolutely.
All right. Does anybody else have anything for the school safety update?
That was half of the update.
There you go.
The other half deals with our Kentucky Center for School Safety Assessments. So these are different than the school safety marshal that comes in every year. Basically, those are compliance visits to make sure that we're doing all the things that we're required to do by law. The Kentucky Center for School Safety offers a voluntary opportunity to invite them in and just, hey, tell us what you think we're doing well. Tell us where you think we might be able to improve. And so Simmons and Huntertown both did those this year. Again, completely voluntary. It is a one-day snapshot. Now, they do look at data over time, but they only visit on one day, so they get to see it over the course of one day. Again, nothing in the report is binding. the process that they go through. They review our websites and our social media. They review our emergency plans. They review our handbooks, review all of our evacuation routes. They do observations in the morning, before school, during school, and after school of our supervision practices. They do walkthroughs of the buildings, survey students, staff, and parents, and they interview staff, students, and parents. And so at the end of that, we get a report. And I'm not going to go in depth in the report, but they do share, one thing that they share are commendations, and these are things that, hey, you all are doing well. And so the commendations I'm going to go over tonight were things that were commended for both sites. So these are things that were commendations for both Simmons and Huntertown. Good access control to our buildings. Both buildings have effective visitor procedures. The report talked about the safe learning environment at both schools. This was maybe the most pleasing thing to me. Every student that they interviewed felt like they had at least one adult, a trusted adult, an adult that they have a connection with that they can go to if they needed to talk about something. So that is always good to hear. On top of our emergency drills, we've got great support services in our buildings. Both schools effectively communicate with parents. By and large, our teachers, our staff had really good morale in those buildings. So considerations, these are the things that, like, hey, something to think about, you might want to look into or improve upon. There were mostly school-specific suggestions, so I don't want to get into this school, that school. But the one thing that kind of stood out for both was knowledge of our stop tip line. I presented on the stop tip line, I think, a couple of times ago during our quarterly report. They did make note that we do communicate. It's not that we don't. We do communicate in a variety of ways. But some parents and some students still weren't quite sure what it was. So I say all that just to say, so we've got some work to do. We do communicate it, but we need to communicate it better or in a more effective manner. And so we're going to start brainstorming ideas on how to do that. So that's the report from the Center for School Safety.
I did just want to ask, I know we had one of those done at Southside recently also, and so I'm familiar with what it looks like at the end. So are these reports, the ones that you have for our different schools, something that you could share with us, board members?
Yeah, how I've typically done that in the past, if you want to come in and review it, you're happy to come in. If it's something you want, I think I can provide that. It's something I want to work with Don to make sure it's okay, but like.
We got the one for Southside,
yeah,
so I'm assuming we could have the one for the other schools.
Yeah.
But
Anything you all want in regards to school safety or anything like that, I want to make sure that you get that.
Thank you. Yeah. I did really think it's important that after we have the assessments, that as a board we look at, oh, here's an issue. There's an issue with, parking at all the schools, or there's an issue with lighting, or there's an issue with whatever, so that we can make sure that we're aware of kind of a checklist of, oh, this has come up at all the schools, something we probably need to look at. Traffic maybe is something that's on there. So I do feel like it would be important for us to kind of see those, and then to maybe at some point, I know we want to be careful because they're, obviously have some information we don't want to share, right? But the information that kind of sort of could be shared, I think would be good for us to look at a punch list of, here are the safety concerns that are identified. What are we doing? What's the cost of that? What would a plan look like to address that? Just something like that I think would be very valuable for us to do as a board.
And we do these on a quarterly basis, and I know obviously over the summer there's not as much going on, so maybe over the summer the consideration section for each school that we have, maybe that's something that could be put together like Ms. Springgate's mentioning. Yeah. That we could review.
Absolutely,
as
if
well.
That's what's requested. I will say I got the reports last week, so I haven't had a whole lot of time to really delve into them. But I know Chief Sutton and myself have already talked. I know we are planning on meeting with each school individually to talk about, the report, the good, the bad, and things we need to work on. So.
Okay.
I was fortunate enough to take part in this for Huntertown. I was invited to come in as a parent representative, not as a board representative, and share my thoughts. I will say it was a really unique process, being able to sit down. The person that I talked to, I believe was she had many roles, was retired and came in to do this. One of the things that I did notice is that we were all in a shared space. We were all in the library with lots of people talking, and students were grouped together at tables sharing their feedback. And I don't know if it's just a Kentucky Center for School Safety process that they do that, where it's not independent students sharing, but one thing that struck me is if I'm at a table with my peers, or my administrator or my teacher sitting very close to me. I mean, it was in the library, so the tables, as you see in here, close. It's very similar setup. if there was a way to have more confidential spaces to be able to share that information, I just wonder if we would get a little bit different feedback. But also, I know that the person that I met with, took notes, and I'm hoping that some of the qualitative information is included in some of that feedback so we could really look at what some of the comments were, of course, to confidentiality as much as we possibly can too.
Yeah.
So.
It absolutely is their process. They come in, we just kind of turn it over, and we don't really direct them. We just kind of follow their lead. They tell us what they need, and we try to provide it. But I can certainly share that feedback with them. Yep.
Anybody got anything else? All right, thank you so much. Next up, we have curriculum and instruction update. Mr. Asher?
Thank you, and good evening on this 150th instructional day of the year as we keep counting them up. I am going to yield some of my time. Miss Mary Newton is here to present on adult ed, so I'll invite her up to share some insight there.
Thanks, Ryan. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Mary Newton. I'm the Director of Adult Education for Jessamine County Schools. We have had a partnership for the past 7 years with Woodford County Schools. This happened in 2018 when Kentucky Adult Education was looking to streamline services to kind of minimize overhead and put more dollars into student services. So we partnered with Woodford County Schools back then. It's been a tremendous partnership, and I've got a lot of information to share with you, some great news and some not so great news. But first of all, you all should have received an invitation to our GED graduation today. Those of you who have been, Ms. McCowan's been, Mr. Wilson, yes, back when we first started. Mr. Brickler, you were there last year, Ms. Springate. I know that you all can attest that this is just a joyous celebration. If you have not been to one of our GED graduations, they are just, well, it's like a Rocky movie. Everybody loves call it Swiss cheese knowledge. So people come in, they remember certain things, they have gaps, and we work to fill those gaps. The other part of what we do is English as a second language. That's really big here in Woodford County as well as in Jessamine. We've got students meeting tonight. We have, I'm going to get to the numbers in a little bit, but a tremendous amount of English as second language students who are parents of kids in this district. This is the good news. Kentucky Adult Education puts out state rankings every month, cumulative year to date. We are number 1 right now as a service area. So you can see that our enrollment goal is through the roof. You can't see the total for the state at the bottom. It was at about 70%. We're at 185%, 185%. And that's in thanks to our great student retention. We do quality programming, and our students keep coming back. We also have expanded our services doing things like CDL training. So that's been big in Jessamine County. We did it once for Woodford County Schools when you all were short on bus drivers. But that's something that we do regularly in Jessamine County. We do leadership training. We do food service training. We do a little bit of everything, not just a GED, a whole lot of other things. Here's some folks that you can see. This is our Woodford ESL group that was taken at Christmas. So most of our ESL students in Woodford are Spanish speakers. Good group of folks. You might recognize the lady in the middle. That's Mary Richardson. She was our graduate of the year last year. Mr. Adkins, I think you presented an award to her. We also do classes in the Woodford County Detention Center. We even had a graduation there, live streamed, so the folks at home could see their graduate walk. That was really good. Now I have some news that I really hate to share. This was an RFA year, meaning that we had to apply for continued services through Kentucky Adult Education. And we did, but we also had a competitor this year. Bluegrass Community and Technical College wrote for the Woodford County contract, and they were awarded it. So beginning July 1, we will not be the adult education provider in Woodford County. I'm extremely disheartened, angry, upset. This has been a wonderful partnership. I believe we are the best folks for the job, But the grants were looked at by reviewers. It was a blind review from reviewers outside of Kentucky. Scores were given, and that is how it came down. I never expected that it wouldn't come down to performance, but that is not how it went. So I'm here today just to say thank you so much for the support that you've given. You couldn't have been a better partner for us, and we've done some great work together. These are some numbers, just kind of cumulative through the years. 382 students that we've worked with, 77 GED grads and counting. We have 4 Woodford students taking their last GED test this Thursday, so it just keeps going. 198 English language learners, so folks who are learning the language to navigate work, to help their kids with school. Culture fairs, I know a lot of you all came to those. Those were celebrations in the community where we showcased some of the native countries of our students. Again, just want to invite you to GED graduation, June 26th. We always have Students of the Year for each county. I would love for a member of the Woodford Board to present the awards for our Woodford students, and we will be recognizing the partnership there at this ceremony. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Can you take me back and explain what happened with this grant? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry too.
Also mention how we appeal.
Yes, we did. So there was an RFA, so request for proposals.
By who issued that?
Kentucky Adult Education.
Okay,
So that's the governing body that issues the very large grant. There's a county allocation attached to each county, which is a dollar amount which is determined based on need. So your number of adults in your county between ages 18 and 64 who lack a high school diploma. It was a competitive grant cycle, so anybody could apply, whether you were the current provider or not. There wasn't a whole lot of competition throughout the state, but again, it was open to whomever. So we submitted our proposal. I've done several of these. You know, it seemed pretty straightforward.